Have you ever gone through something tough, a major setback, and felt like maybe it wasn't just random bad luck? What if it was actually a lesson, a curriculum, custom built just for you? Well, today we're diving into a really fascinating idea that reframes every single trial as a potential triumph.
And this quote from Rhonda Byrne, it just sets the stage perfectly, doesn't it? The idea that hardship isn't just a roadblock, it's actually part of a journey towards something greater. We're going to follow a real-life story that shows exactly how this works, starting with a moment of crisis that turns into this profound breakthrough. All right, so our story kicks off with something that, on the surface, feels 100% negative, a broken leg. I mean, it's a classic example of life just hitting the pause button, whether you want it to or not. But what if that pause was the entire point? So imagine, one minute you're going about your life, and the next, everything comes to a screeching halt. A physical injury forces you into stillness, into a moment of reflection. Now, the first instinct for most of us is to see this as a problem, right? A roadblock we have to get over. But this new framework we're exploring asks a totally different question. What if the roadblock is the road? This right here presents us with two completely different ways of looking at the world. On one side, you've got what we'll call rational thinking. The broken leg, it's just a random accident, bad luck, a problem to be fixed. But on the other side, there's this incredible concept called governance physics, which says, no, 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 that wasn't random. It was an intentional interruption, a designed entry point into a new curriculum for your own growth. So what in the world is a governance-engineered entry? Well, think of it like a deliberate system alert from the universe. It's an event that looks random, but it's actually designed to knock you off your daily autopilot and force what's called a cognitive recalibration. So in this view, the accident isn't the problem at all. It's actually the first day of class. Okay, so to understand the lesson that's being taught, we're going to need a tool. And this brings us to this absolutely brilliant metaphor that kind of unlocks this entire way of thinking. The pomegranate principle. The pomegranate principle is so simple, but it's really profound. Any event, any situation has appeal. You know, that tough outer layer. That's the surface level facts, the raw data. In our story, that's the broken leg itself. But inside, if you can get past all the noise and the bias, you find the juice, the essential insight, the deep truth, the actual lesson. And the whole goal is to get past that peel to get to the juice. So how do you do it? How do you get from the tough peel to the sweet juice? Well, you do it through something called the pressing process. Now, this isn't about passively waiting for some big insight to just hit you. It's the active, conscious, sometimes difficult work of extracting the real truth from the surface-level facts of your situation. Let's see how this actually worked in the story. While healing from the broken leg, the person we're following started reading a book called Where Good Ideas Come From. Now that book, that was the peel. It was the raw data, some interesting surface-level info. The pressing process began when they started searching for a deeper framework to make sense of it all. And that search led them to something called OQM, the Organic Quranic Methodology. And that was the juice. Now, this discovery wasn't just a lucky guess. It actually followed a very clear 7-stage learning curriculum. So let's walk through that process, because it shows how a simple observation can evolve into a really powerful framework. You know, every real learning journey starts right here, with stage 1, awareness. It's that moment you recognize there's a gap between what you know and what you need to know. In this case, it was realizing that this OQM framework, the juice, was incredibly powerful, but also kind of complex. It needed to be simplified to be really understood. Then comes stage 2, connecting. And this is where the creative magic happens. A very practical, down-to-earth idea popped up, making soap. But instead of just becoming a business plan, it was connected to that deep, metaphysical OQM framework. A bridge was literally built between the physical world and the world of ideas. In stage 3, processing, that pomegranate metaphor becomes the absolute key. Think about it. Soap cleans the body, the physical exterior. That's the peel. OQM, the framework for thinking, cleans the inside, our cognitive and spiritual selves. And that's the juice. It's a perfect analogy. Stage 4 highlights something so important. The initial problem, the broken leg, actually created the perfect incubation environment. All that forced downtime wasn't a punishment. It was the quiet, uninterrupted space that was absolutely necessary for deep thinking to happen. Now, this next stage is crucial. integration. This is where the knowledge from that secular book was blended with the principles of divine governance from OQM. It wasn't about picking one over the other. It was about finding the hidden, unifying pattern that connected them both. In stage 6, the new insight is protected. And this isn't about hiding it away. It's about giving it structure. The idea was put into a solid, shareable framework. This protects it from being watered down or misunderstood and makes sure its core message stays intact. And finally, we get to the last stage, growing and sharing, which really reveals the ultimate purpose of this whole thing. The journey concludes with the natural impulse to teach what you've learned. The cycle isn't truly complete until that refined insight is passed on to help other people grow. So how can we possibly boil down this entire journey from a broken bone to a massive intellectual breakthrough? Well, this governance physics framework actually proposes a single, really elegant master equation that describes this whole process of growth. And here it is, E equals U times D squared. Now I know, it looks like something out of a physics textbook, but it's actually a formula for personal growth. It's like the alchemy for turning raw life experience into something of real, lasting value. Let's break this down real quick. U stands for universe or utility, basically the raw materials life throws at you. In our story, that was the accident, the book, and the idea for making soap. D stands for Dean, which in this context means the protocol or the framework you use to process those materials, in this case the OQM methodology and the pomegranate metaphor. And E? E is the essence. That's the valuable, lasting outcome you create. So here's the bottom line, the crucial point of all this. A broken leg, a raw event from the universe, U, was processed and multiplied by the power of a deep framework, D, and it was transformed into E, a valuable cognitive model. Value wasn't just found here, it was literally manufactured. And that brings us right back around to a final question for you. Think about the challenges in your own life. The problems, the frustrations, the broken legs. Which of those are just the surface level peel, waiting for you to apply the right framework, to start that pressing process, and to find the incredible value that's hidden just inside?